I stood at my kitchen window, the plumber's words echoing in my mind. Gather your essentials and leave this house immediately. Don't tell your children anything. That morning had begun like any other. Ordinary and familiar. My coffee steamed in my favorite white porcelain mug, adorned with delicate flowers, a keepsake from my mother. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting a soft glow and revealing tiny dust particles dancing in the air. My home had always been my sanctuary, a place of comfort and safety. Every corner held a memory, every object a piece of my life's story. The cream-colored walls, which I had painted myself 3 years ago, stood as a testament to my effort. The dark wood furniture, inherited from my parents, carried the weight of family history. Family photos lined the fireplace mantel, capturing moments of joy. Everything seemed perfect, orderly, and peaceful. My son Michael had left early for work, as he always did. He was my eldest, working for a construction company, but lately, he seemed more tired and distant than usual. At dinner, he avoided my gaze, answering my questions about his day with curt, one-word responses. My daughter Linda, now 38, had moved back home 6 months ago after her divorce. She arrived with 2 suitcases, and a heavy sadness that seemed to cling to her like a second skin. She spent hours locked in her old bedroom, emerging only briefly for meals before retreating again. She told me she needed time to heal, to rediscover herself, and I understood her pain. 7 years ago, I had lost my husband, and my world had crumbled. My children had been my strength then, supporting me when I thought I couldn't go on. So, when they needed me, I opened my arms and my home without hesitation or questions. My days had settled into a predictable routine. I woke at 6 a.m., prepared breakfast that no one ate, watered the plants, cleaned the house, watched the news, made lunch that went untouched, read a book, and cooked dinner, which we ate in silence. The days blurred together, like watercolors bleeding in the rain. But that morning, something was different. During the night, the upstairs bathroom faucet had begun to drip. It wasn't a normal drip, but an odd, irregular sound that woke me several times. When I came downstairs for breakfast, I noticed a damp spot on the dining room ceiling, directly beneath the bathroom. Water was seeping through, forming a small drop that fell onto the table every few seconds. It was strange because the bathroom had been renovated just 2 years ago. Michael had insisted on replacing all the plumbing, hiring a team of workers who were in the house for weeks. I called Michael at work to ask what to do. His voice was tense, as if I'd interrupted something important. "Mom, just call a plumber. I can't leave work right now," he said. I mentioned the warranty from the renovation, suggesting we contact the original company. No, it's better to call someone new," he replied quickly. "I'll send you a plumber's number." His response felt odd. Why avoid the company that did the work? But Michael had been irritable lately, so I didn't press. Half an hour later, he texted me the name and number of Manuel. A plumber, he said, had excellent references. I called immediately. A calm, professional voice answered. "Good morning. This is Manuel. How can I help you?" I explained the leak in the ceiling, likely from the upstairs bathroom, and asked if he could take a look. "Of course, ma'am. I'll be there in an hour. What's your address?" I gave him the details and hung up, feeling relieved that the problem would soon be resolved. While waiting, I cleaned the kitchen, moved furniture to avoid water damage, and placed containers to catch the dripping water. Exactly 1 hour later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Manuel, A man in his 50s, of medium height, with graying hair and kind eyes behind glasses. He wore blue overalls and carried a well-worn toolbox. "Mrs. Smith, I'm Manuel, the plumber," he said. I welcomed him in and showed him the damp spot on the dining room ceiling. He looked up, frowned slightly, and nodded. "I'll need to check the upstairs bathroom first. Then go to the basement to inspect the main pipes," he said. I agreed, telling him to make himself at home. Manuel went upstairs with a confident stride, and soon I heard the clink of his tools at work. After a few minutes, he came down with a thoughtful expression. "Ma'am, I need to check the basement." "Is there direct access?" he asked. I pointed to the door in the kitchen. "Do you need me to come with you?" I offered. "That's not necessary. I can handle it myself." "This might take a while," he replied. I nodded and returned to my chores, but something in his tone unsettled me. There was a subtle tension in his voice that hadn't been there when he arrived. Manuel disappeared through the basement door, and the house grew quiet except for the occasional metallic sounds of his tools, echoing from below. The sounds reassured me that someone competent was addressing the problem. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat in my favorite dining room chair, keeping an eye on the damp spot. It had stopped dripping, which seemed like a good sign. Perhaps Manuel had already found and fixed the issue. I glanced at the wall clock. It was 11 a.m. Linda was still asleep, as she often was these days. Since her divorce, her sleep schedule had become erratic. Sometimes, I heard her pacing in her room late at night. Other times, she didn't emerge until the afternoon. I was worried about her. As a mother, you develop an instinct for when something's wrong with your children, no matter their age. Linda had lost weight. Her eyes were shadowed with dark circles, and her skin was unnaturally pale. I'd suggested she see a doctor, but she always brushed it off. "I'm fine, Mom, I just need time to process everything with Richard," she'd say. But I wasn't convinced. Her ex-husband had been troubled, but Linda's pain seemed deeper than a breakup. The noises from the basement continued for nearly an hour, sounds of movement, something heavy being dragged, and gentle taps on pipes. Manuel seemed meticulous, which I appreciated. Too many professionals rush through jobs these days. I decided to make lunch, hoping the smell of food might coax Linda out of her room. Maybe we could share a meal like we used to. I checked the fridge. Chicken, fresh vegetables, rice. I could make the stew Linda loved as a child. As I chopped onions, memories of family Sundays flooded back. My husband would sit on the couch with the newspaper. Michael would play in the yard with his toy cars, and Linda would stand on a chair to help me in the kitchen. The house was filled with laughter, conversation, and life. Now, Sundays were silent, almost mournful. Michael came home late, even on weekends, always citing urgent work. Linda stayed in her room or left without saying where she was going. I had grown accustomed to the loneliness, but I didn't enjoy it. Footsteps from the basement snapped me out of my thoughts. Manuel appeared in the kitchen, but something about him had changed. His face was pale, and his hands trembled slightly as he closed his toolbox. "Are you finished? Did you find the problem?" I asked, wiping my hands on my apron. He looked at me strangely, his eyes flickering between my face and the basement door. "Mrs. Smith, I need to talk to you. Can we sit for a moment?" His voice had shifted from calm professionalism to urgency, putting me on edge. "Of course. Is everything all right? Is the leak serious?" I asked. He sat across from me at the kitchen table, placed his toolbox on the floor, and removed his glasses, cleaning them nervously. His hands were still shaking. "It's not exactly a leak, ma'am," he said. I was confused. "Then what's causing the dampness?" He paused, as if searching for the right words, then looked me in the eyes. "Ma'am, do you live here alone?" The question caught me off guard. "No, I live with my 2 children. Michael and Linda. They're adults, but they've moved back home temporarily. They have free access to the basement," I replied. "Why do you ask?" He leaned forward, lowering his voice as if someone might overhear. "Mrs. Smith, what I found down there isn't a plumbing issue. Someone has installed something in the basement that shouldn't be there." My heart began to race. "What kind of thing?" I asked. "It's complicated to explain, but it's not accidental. Someone put it there on purpose, and that someone knows this house very well." The room seemed to tilt. "Are you saying someone broke into my house to install something in my basement?" I asked, my voice trembling. "No, ma'am. I don't think it was a stranger," he said. His words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. I struggled to process what he was implying. "I don't understand. What are you trying to tell me?" I said, my voice rising. He stood and walked to the window, glancing at the garden as if checking for eaves. "Ma'am, have you noticed any strange symptoms lately? Unusual fatigue, headaches, trouble sleeping?" The question startled me. "Well, yes. I've been more tired than usual, and I've had some headaches, but I'm an older woman." "Those things are normal," I replied. "And your children, have they shown the same symptoms?" he asked. I thought for a moment. Despite Linda's emotional struggles, both she and Michael seemed physically healthy. "No, they seem fine," I said. He nodded gravely, as if my answer confirmed something terrible. "Ma'am, I need you to listen carefully. What I'm about to say will be hard to accept, but it's important you believe me," he said, sitting back down and taking my hands. His palms were cold and clammy. "The device I found in your basement is connected to this house's ventilation system, specifically directed toward your bedroom." My mind reeled. "My bedroom? What does that mean?" I asked. "It means someone has installed a system to release substances into the air you breathe, substances that could be slowly making you sick," he said. The words felt distant, as if coming through a tunnel. They couldn't be real. This didn't happen in real life, certainly not in my home, with my family. That's impossible. There must be a mistake. Maybe it's an air purifier from the renovation that you don't recognize," I said desperately. He shook his head firmly. "Ma'am, I've been a plumber for over 20 years. I've seen all kinds of plumbing, ventilation, and filtration systems. What's in your basement is not an air purifier. It's something else entirely." I stood, needing to move, the nervous energy building in my chest. "This can't be happening. There has to be a logical explanation," I said. "There is," he replied quietly. "Someone in this house wants to harm you." His words struck like a blow, reverberating in my head. "My children would never hurt me. I raised them. I love them. They love me." "You must be mistaken," I said, my voice shaking. He stood slowly, his expression one of someone delivering devastating news. "Mrs. Smith, I understand this is hard, but I need you to come to the basement to see what I found with your own eyes." I shook my head violently. "I don't want to see anything. I want you to leave my house right now. You're crazy if you think I'll believe my own children." I trailed off, unable to finish. "Please," he interrupted, his voice soft but firm. "Just 5 minutes. If you still think I'm wrong after seeing it, I'll leave immediately, and you'll never hear from me again." Something in his calm determination stopped me. He didn't sound like a madman or a liar. He sounded like someone who had seen something horrific and was struggling to convey it without shattering my world. "What exactly did you find down there?" I asked. "It's better if you see it for yourself." "Words won't do it justice," he replied. I glanced upstairs, where Linda was likely still sleeping. Then at the basement door. For 40 years, I'd gone down there countless times to do laundry, fetch Christmas decorations, store unused items. It was a familiar, safe space. "All right," I said finally, "but only for 5 minutes." He nodded and pulled a flashlight from his toolbox. "You'll need this. The lighting isn't good in that area." I followed him to the basement door, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. We descended the wooden stairs, which creaked under our weight, a sound I'd heard thousands of times. But now, each creak felt sinister, like a warning. The basement smelled of dampness and age, as it always did. Cardboard boxes were stacked against the walls. The washer and dryer sat in their corner, and gardening tools hung neatly. Everything looked normal. "Over here," Manuel whispered, heading to the farthest corner behind the furnace. I followed, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. He turned on his flashlight and aimed it at a section of the wall I rarely visited. At first, I saw nothing unusual. "What am I supposed to be looking at?" I asked. "Look closer. Behind those pipes," he said. Following the beam, I saw a series of thin, specialized plastic tubes connected to a metal box the size of a toaster, tucked among the regular plumbing pipes. "What is that?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Come closer," he said. I stepped forward, and he aimed the light directly at the device. It had several compartments, some containing liquids of different colors, others with digital timers flashing red numbers. "This is connected to your house's ventilation system," he explained in a low voice. "These tubes lead to the air ducts going directly to your bedroom." I touched one of the tubes with shaking fingers. It was warm, as if it had been active recently. "What kind of liquids are those?" I asked. I'm not a chemist, but from the smell and consistency, I'd say they're substances designed to cause gradual harm, chronic fatigue, a weakened immune system, maybe worse over time, he said. My mind struggled to process what I was seeing. "But this requires technical knowledge, a specialized installation. It's not something you can do in an afternoon," I said. "Exactly," he replied. "Whoever did this knew what they were doing and had unlimited access to your house for as long as it took." I remembered the bathroom renovation 2 years ago. The workers had been here for weeks, and Michael had overseen everything, insisting I not worry about the details. "The renovation," I whispered. "During the bathroom renovation, workers were here constantly. Who supervised it?" Manuel asked. I didn't want to answer, didn't want my fears confirmed. "My son, Michael. He took care of everything," I said. Manuel nodded gravely. "Ma'am, this system wasn't installed in 2 days. It required planning, specific materials, and knowledge of ventilation and basic chemistry." Nausea surged in my throat. Michael works in construction. He'd know how to do this. And his sister, Linda, studied chemistry in college before she got married, I said, the pieces fitting together in a horrifying way. The symptoms I'd been experiencing for months, constant fatigue, headaches, weakness, I'd attributed to age. Michael's insistence on the renovation. Linda's return home just as my health worsened. "How long has this system been running?" I asked, my voice breaking. Manuel examined the timers. From the wear and residue in the tubes, I'd say 8 or 9 months, he said. 9 months when my symptoms began. When I started thinking I had an age-related illness. Oh my God, I murmured, leaning against the wall to keep from collapsing. There's something else you need to see, he said, aiming the flashlight at another angle, revealing a small digital screen with numbers and graphs. This system is programmed to increase the concentration of substances over time, meaning the effects would become more severe. More severe how? I asked. Without medical treatment and continued exposure, it could be fatal in a few months, he said. The words hit like an avalanche. My own children, my flesh and blood, had been trying to kill me slowly, not in a moment of rage, but in a calculated, systematic way, letting me suffer for months before dying. Why? I whispered. Why would they do this? He turned off the flashlight and gently took my arm, guiding me toward the stairs. That's a question only they can answer. But ma'am, you need to get out of this house immediately. We went upstairs in silence, my legs like jelly, my mind barely functioning. In the kitchen, reality crashed over me. This was my home, my refuge, where I'd raised my children, mourned my husband, planned to spend my final years in peace. Now, it was a place where my children had turned it into a trap. Mrs. Smith, Manuel said firmly, listen to me carefully. Take only the essentials. Leave now. And don't tell your children where you're going. But I can't just leave. This is my house. They're my children, I protested. Your children are trying to murder you, he said with a harshness that startled me. I looked toward the stairs. Linda was up there, probably waking soon. My little Linda, who'd been such a sweet child. Who'd comforted me after her father's death? Who'd cried in my arms when her marriage ended? I can't believe she's involved, I said weakly. The chemical knowledge required isn't basic. Whoever designed those mixtures knew exactly what they were doing, he said. Linda had studied chemistry and worked in a lab for years before marrying. I have to talk to them. They need to explain, I said. No, ma'am. If they know you've discovered their plan, they might act desperately. You need to get to safety first, he insisted. The kitchen fell silent, save for the ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, and my ragged breathing. Manuel watched me with compassion and urgency, waiting as I processed the enormity of the betrayal. I need to sit down, I murmured, collapsing into a chair. My hands shook uncontrollably. I tried to sip my coffee, but the cup rattled, spilling liquid. Manuel gently took it from me. Ma'am, I understand this is devastating, but every minute you stay here is dangerous, he said. Dangerous? They're my children, Manuel. I changed their diapers, comforted them through nightmares, helped with homework. How could they want to kill me? My voice broke, tears streaming down my cheeks. He sat across from me, his expression serious but kind. Mrs. Smith, I've seen many things in my work. Families can hide terrible secrets. What I found downstairs wasn't impulsive. It's planned, meticulous, by people who thought of every detail, he said. There must be an explanation. Maybe they're being blackmailed or forced, I said, grasping for hope. Who could force two adults to install a poisoning system in their mother's house? If they were blackmailed, wouldn't they ask you for help? He countered. His logic was undeniable, crushing my hopes. The money? I whispered suddenly. It has to be about the money. What money? He asked. When my husband died, he left a substantial life insurance policy. Plus my savings, and this house, which is worth a lot now that the neighborhood's gentrified, I said. How much? Between the policy, savings, and property, about $800,000, I replied. He nodded gravely. That's a sum that could motivate desperate people to do terrible things, but they aren't desperate. Michael has a job. Linda will get money from her divorce, I said. Are you sure? When did you last talk to them about their finances? He asked. I realized I hadn't had a deep conversation with either in months. Michael was always busy or moody, Linda withdrawn. I don't know their finances. I assumed they were fine because they never asked for help, I admitted. Maybe they planned to get your money another way, he said. The words hit like a slap. I imagined my children plotting my death, dividing my possessions before I was gone, living with me, eating my food, pretending to care while poisoning me. A noise from upstairs startled Melinda was awake. Mom, who are you talking to? She called. Manuel whispered. Tell her I'm the plumber. Almost done. It's the plumber, honey. He's fixing the leak, I shouted, trying to sound normal. Okay, I'll be down in a minute, she replied. We need to go now, Manuel said urgently. Do you have important documents accessible? In the safe in my bedroom, I said. Get them. Take only essentials ID bank papers, some clothes. I'll make sure she doesn't come down, he said. I stood on trembling legs, each step toward the stairs feeling like walking off a cliff. In my bedroom, everything looked normal, the bed neatly made, family photos on the nightstand, closet organized. But now I knew poison was seeping into this space, designed to kill me. I opened the safe with shaking hands, grabbing my will, house deed, insurance policy, and bank information, stuffing them into a small handbag. From the closet, I took a few clothes. My eyes fell on a photo from last Christmas, 8 months ago. Michael, Linda, and I smiled in front of the tree. Michael's arm around me, Linda, kissing my cheek. They looked like loving children, but they were already poisoning me then. I took the photo, not for the memory, but as a reminder that those closest to us can be the most dangerous. I heard voices downstairs. Linda was talking to men. So, the problem was old pipes? She asked. Exactly, all fixed now, he replied professionally. She saw me descending with my bag. Mom, going out? She asked. Just some errands, I said, my voice unsteady. Want me to come? I'm free today, she offered. The idea terrified me. What if she suspected I knew? No, it's just boring bank stuff, I said. Manuel approached. Well, Mrs. Smith, my work's done. No more problems, he said, signaling it was time to leave. How much do I owe you? I asked, playing along. $60, he said. I paid, our eyes meeting briefly, conveying gratitude. Thank you for everything, I said, meaning more than Linda could know. My pleasure, ma'am, he replied. He headed for the door, and I followed, feeling Linda's eyes on me. Sure, you don't want me to come. You look pale, she said. I turned, seeing my daughter once my sweet girl in a new, terrifying light. I'm fine, dear. I'll be back later, I said. I love you, Mom, she said with a smile. I love you too, I lied, the words heavy. Outside, the fresh air hit me like a revelation. I hadn't realized how suffocating my home had become until I left. Manuel walked quickly to his truck parked in front of the house, and I followed, legs still trembling. Get in, he said, opening the passenger door. We need to get away before your daughter suspects anything. I climbed in, clutching my bag like a lifeline. As he drove away, I looked in the side mirror. watching my house shrink in the distance, the place where I'd been happy, grieved, raised my children, and nearly died without knowing it. "Where are we going?" I asked hoarsely. "To a safe coffee shop about 20 blocks away. We can talk and call the authorities," he said. "The police?" I asked, stunned. "Yes, ma'am. What we found is attempted murder. We can't handle this alone," he replied. The word murder echoed in my mind. My children weren't just ungrateful or greedy, they were potential killers. What if we're wrong? What if there's another explanation? I asked, clinging to hope. "Ma'am, I installed ventilation systems for 15 years before plumbing. What I saw is designed to disperse chemicals into your room. There's no innocent explanation," he said. He was right, but my mind desperately searched for an alternative. How much time would I have had before? "It worked?" I asked. He was right, but my mind desperately searched for an alternative. How much time would I have had before? "It worked," I asked. "Based on the timers and concentration, maybe 2 or 3 months. Your symptoms would have worsened respiratory issues, organ failure. It would have looked natural," he said. Tears welled up. "How could they plan this? Fake love, while killing me?" I asked. "I don't know, but people capable of this won't stop if you confront them. They might act faster or more directly," he warned. We arrived at a cozy coffee shop, and Manuel chose a table in the back, away from windows, near a rear exit. His strategic choice made me realize the danger anew. A young waitress approached. "To coffees, please, and something sweet for the lady." "She's had a rough day," Manuel said. She nodded and left. "Mrs. Smith, we need to discuss options." "First, call the police now," he said. "What happens then?" I asked. "They'd search your house with a warrant, examine the device, and arrest your children if there's evidence," he said. The thought of Michael and Linda in handcuffs sickened me. But the alternative was them continuing their plan. "Second option," I asked. "We document everything ourselves. First photo, chemical samples, build a strong case before police," he said. "Would that mean going back?" "Not you. I'd go, pretext of checking the repair," he said. "Why help me?" I asked. "I lost my mother 5 years ago to cancer, but she had strange symptoms before: fatigue, breathing issues. After she died, we found my brother tampered with her medication and stole money. I couldn't save her. I see the signs now and have a chance to help," he said. His words touched me. A stranger was risking his time and safety for me. "Was your brother arrested?" I asked. "Yes, for theft, but too late to prove harm. That's why I want solid evidence for you," he said. I took a bite of the chocolate cake the waitress brought, but it tasted like ash. "I can't believe we're discussing my children as criminals," I said. "Have you noticed behavioral changes?" he asked. "Michael's distant, avoids talks, always busy. Linda's withdrawn since moving back." "I thought it was work stress and divorce," I said. "They could have been coordinating when you were out," he said. It hit me they were often home together when I left, possibly adjusting the device. How was I so blind? "Love makes us give the benefit of the doubt," he said. My phone buzzed a text from Linda. "Mom, is everything okay? You've been out longer than usual." I showed Manuel. "They're monitoring you," he said. "Text you're fine, delayed at the bank." I typed, fingers trembling. "They'll destroy evidence if they suspect," he said. "What do we do?" "I'll go back this afternoon, pretext of checking leaks. Take photos, samples. You stay in a hotel," he said. "Trusted relatives?" My sister lived far, and I didn't want to involve friends. Hotel safest, I said. He wrote his number on a card. Call if they contact you or anything strange happens, he said. If this is true, how will I live knowing my children? I trailed off. One step at a time. Safety first, he said. He drove me to a modest downtown hotel, far from my neighborhood. Room 203, in my name, he said, handing me the key. He checked the room locks, bolts. Keep the door locked, only open for me. Call room service for needs, he instructed. When are you going back? 2 hours. Pretext of checking repair. Common practice. Won't raise flags, he said. He paused. Do you have a will? Yes, sole beneficiaries. Michael and Linda. Even split. Motive. Natural death avoids suspicion, he said. Their calculated coldness chilled me. What kind of people do this? People who value money over family, he said. Alone in the silent hotel room. The absence of my home's familiar noises overwhelmed me. I processed the betrayal. My phone buzzed 3 texts from Linda, increasingly worried. I replied I was fine, shopping. Lying on the bed, I recalled overlooked signs. Michael suggesting I move to a smaller place. Citing upkeep costs, now a value assessment. Linda asking about my finances and medical care, now calculating inheritance. My phone rang. Michael. Linda says you've been out all day. Okay, he asked, tense. Fine, errands, I said. What errands? Strange, you didn't tell us, he said. I don't need to report my movements, I replied. Pause. We worry when your routine changes, he said. They monitored my schedule for poison exposure. I can change my routine, I said. Home for dinner. Maybe out. With whom? Nervous tone. A friend. What friend? I don't explain myself, Michael, I said firmly. You're acting strange, tired, forgetful. We're worried, he said. Irony, they caused it. Doctor. To document illness. I'll consider it. Love you, Mom. You too. Lie. The conversation confirmed they were tracking me, preparing for the final phase. Manuel had been gone an hour. My phone buzzed. Linda, join dinner. Terror, no reply. I cried for the lost family, the naive woman I was that morning. Tears stopped, replaced by determination. I'd be a survivor, not a victim. At 6 p.m., Manuel called. I have evidence, but more. Meet in lobby. 10 minutes. Disturbing, he said. In the lobby, his face was grim, holding a folder and camera. What happened? Got photos. Overheard them, he said, showing clear images of the device tubes, liquids, timers. Solid evidence. But they talked in the kitchen, thinking I was downstairs. Michael said you're acting strange, evasive. Linda said speed up. Can't wait 2 months. How? Plan B quicker, riskier. Accident, fire, fall, violent. More. Michael's gambling debts. $100,000. Linda gets nothing from divorce affair. Desperation. They followed me. Checked device, he said, showing a notebook photo dates. My symptoms, like a science experiment. Another photo. Linda's symptom timeline: fatigue, confusion, respiratory failure, death. Week 14, you should be hospitalized, he said. But I'm here. Plan failed. They're panicking. Michael's text. Plumber back. When home. Call police now, Manuel said. Linda called. Where are you? Worried, she said, tense. Fine, Plumber said. Ventilation. Issues. Misunderstanding. Hiding something. No. pick you up. Threat. No need. Michael, come home now. Authoritative. No explanation needed. Suspicious questions. If I don't, we'll get you. Hung up. They know. Might act, Manuel said. Text from unknown. No hotel room 203. 10 minutes or we come up. How? Followed. Cameras. Linda. No hotel talk. Or Michael's upset. They're here, I whispered. Back exit, Manuel said. In the alley, Michael by truck. With tire iron, Linda behind with syringe, trapped. Love doesn't pay debts, she said coldly. Jail, I said. Evidence. Michael had camera. No proof. Sirens. Manuel's 911 call. Police blocked alley. Hands up. Michael complied. Linda hesitated with syringe. Dementia, safety, she claimed. Syringe. Medicine. Weak. Ambulance checked me. Manuel showed emailed photos. Detective. Statement. Search house. Hours later. Residues. Notebook found. 6 months later. Trial revealed Michael's $120,000 debts. Linda's bankruptcy. Poison was Linda's idea. No remorse. Michael, 25 years. Parole 15. Linda, 20. Parole 12. Appeals denied. I sold the house, bought a coastal apartment. Manuel, a friend, visits. Love is actions, not blood. Family protects. A drip saved me. Betrayal from the safest place. Stay vigilant. Trust actions.